Another app that I use all the time is Readwise. Readwise is an information management platform, really, and a read it later app. So it enables you to bring in any kind of snips or highlights that you've collected from reading Kindle books, or maybe you've seen a really insightful kind of frame or a unique point of view or a signal on Twitter, highlights from Apple Books, highlights from any articles that you've been reading on Medium. If you listen to podcasts, I use a little program called Snipped to snip little highlights from podcasts if they're related to kind of specific projects or content threads that I'm working on. Feedly is what I use to kind of manage all of the email subscriptions of the stuff that I kind of scan through. Raindrop I use for bookmarks. So all of these inputs come into Readwise, and it means I can snip and highlight and kind of grab and collect when I see things and tag them quickly so I know what they relate to or what project, do some overall kind of global tagging. And then I can come back into Readwise later when I'm in a kind of deep work mode and actually go through and read them and highlight them and really get a sense of, whether they're useful or not for projects. And a lot of that sort of synthesis, highlighting and kind of more detailed tagging is done in the Readwise Reader, which is free once you subscribe to the main product. And once I've done all that, you can then actually go and export it into your favorite note-taking app. It goes straight into Notion, also goes into Obsidian and Tana and a bunch of others. So just to give you a sense of kind of what that looks like, let's imagine that this is an article we want to save. And so I click on my little R button here, and I'm just going to add a couple of global tags. Just get rid of that. Just quickly so that I can see when I come back to it what it's about. Centralization. It's got a bit about museums, which is a chapter of the project. It's a bit about Web3. So let's say that's just some basic kind of signals from that article. And now I can go on and really I can close that down and keep going with whatever I'm doing. When I'm ready, I've snipped a bunch of stuff. I like to kind of do searching and collecting and scanning in a different headspace to doing the synthesizing, because I just find my mind's working differently when I'm going through things and really picking out notes and trying to synthesize it. It's a different headspace than when I'm just sort of scouting about. You can see here, this is my Readwise Reader dashboard. So this is where all of the content comes. So you can see all the tags. Videos, haven't got any tweets. Emails, I haven't got any left. Books, I have caught up on all of those, and articles. And you can see here, they're all waiting for me to read later, which is great because it means then when I'm really going through and ready to work, I can go through and do it all at once. Just get rid of that one because I think that's similar. Okay, so this is the one we just clipped, the future of art. And so I can go into that and I can see that it's brought in all of the metadata from that article, which is super helpful. It means that I can go back and reference that anytime I need to. You can see I've done some overall kind of global document tags. And then let's say I was ready to process that. I could go through and start to make some notes. So I'm just going to do this really quickly. So I'm tagging at the document level, but that might be the role of art. So I might say changing experience of art. And remember that the tags I'm doing at this highlight level are still operating in a hierarchy. So this snap changing experience of art still sits under a document that is about decentralized art futures and museums and Web3. So if I was going to go through and do this, I would start to highlight provenance. I might put another one in there in the global because information provenance quite a big topic at the moment I'm looking at. And so I would go through and I would start to look at what are the notes. You can see here I'm already starting to get my highlights. And the other thing is it's got some neat little tools. So it's got a thing called Ghost Reader, which I can go through and generate some thought-provoking questions if I wanted to, which might help me as I go through the project. The thing I like too about being able to go back and collect quickly and then go back and process later is that as you start to collect, you get a sense of the kinds of topics, the kinds of critical issues going on. You start to see what's emerging. You start to see the role technology is playing, or whatever the driving forces are in that domain. And so my searching gets a little bit more focused and a little bit more nuanced because I'm kind of doing it all in the one headspace. And then when I'm ready to go back and do this in more detail, I've got quite a different kind of posture. So I go back and do this for. And some of them that you clip, you find you actually don't want to read. They're not as good as you thought. But once we've done that, we go back to the Readwise. And really what I want to do now is I want to export them to Notion. So you can see here that Readwise exports to a number of different note-taking apps. We're going to do Notion today. I also do it to Tana if it's something longer term. And so I'm going to export to Notion. And the thing that I really like about this is I can go back through the articles and I can start to then apply global tags and global descriptors across all of the research for a project, which just gives me some consistency and continuity when I'm actually starting to process that research. And so it's exporting to Notion, which is great. I've actually got this already set up because I've been using it. Readwise does this automatically, sets up this database for you. You don't have to do it. And then you can change it or do whatever you need to do. So you can see that we're updating here. And so that article that we just highlighted, you can see here, what is the future of art? It's given me all of the metadata. It's given me the document tags that I used. So you can see they're attached to every article. It's given me the title, tells me, some articles I might have clipped 12 pieces, some I might have only clipped one, which helps me prioritize. Gives me a rough summary of this. And of course, the other thing I can do if I wanted to is I can add an AI summary too if I want to get a little bit more detail and work out whether or not they're worth reading. So the other thing I guess I do here really is start to say, okay, well, what project does this relate to? So this is about art. So I'm going to add this to my Post-Digital Art Futures project. And really what you can see if I go through and have a look at that project page, you can see that here is the stuff that I brought in from Zotero, and here's the stuff coming in from my Readwise library. And you can see here, what does the future of arts come in? And it's just got those key kind of global tags, and it'll tell me whether it's a tweet or whether it's an article. And so when I'm starting to comb through the research and pull things out, it gives me a quick view as to what the key stuff is I might want to look at depending on what I'm focused on. And so I'll often just pull them into these little project dash areas here from Readwise. Sometimes if it's a really big project and I'm going to have loads and loads of Readwise articles, I might actually just use that page as a project Readwise page. There's lots. So that's really how I use Readwise. It's super, super helpful. And I just find it helps me separate the searching and the scanning from the kind of processing, but doing it in a way that makes it easy to navigate when I come back to it.